Y'all check this. I interviewed 20 eligible single men to find out what keeps them from committing to a relationship. For example, when you're dating someone you like, what would make you want to take it to the next level? Or this guy was 6 months into a dating situation when the person he's seeing said the one thing no man wants to hear.
That's when I had to block him.
I promise each of these men anonymity for several reasons, but their surprisingly consistent dating horror stories boil down to 3 basic things every man needs to commit to a relationship. Because the goal isn't to just find a good man, we need to master walking through the dating process into a relationship that fulfills us and him. So I'm unpacking the 3 things every man needs to get him to commit on Dear Black Gay Men podcast, and the show starts right now. What up, though? I am Jay the Gentleman. That's at JAI the Gentleman on IG. It is Monday, so it's time for a new episode of Dear Black Gay Men podcast. It's still our short, bullshit-free step out of our comfort zone to talk about all the emotional ups and downs along the journey to happiness. Hopefully, this is your reminder of how dope it is to be black gay men who love black gay men. The first reason that I found out the men's don't be committing is because they don't know what they want. Now, getting men to admit they're clueless about their own desires is difficult, but when you peel back the layers of what keeps us single, not a single man I interviewed could concretely say what they wanted or why. Now, what I did learn, though, is that men only make 3 basic considerations when figuring out if they want to take a dating situation to the next level. I talked to 20 singles to figure this out, and they told me that the only questions that come up are very simple. Number 1, what do I want? Whether I know it or not. Number 2 is, what do you want? And number 3 is, what are the minimum requirements to get those things? If you're dealing with a man that won't commit, maybe he's dating you, but you don't feel like he's putting in enough effort to make things more serious, or perhaps you feel like he's stringing you along. He's probably either unclear, oblivious, or intentionally neglecting one of the 3 considerations. Of my conversation, I had a couple problems arise during the dating process that I'm calling commitment killers. The first one is something that we've all said. Check this out.
I got married really like in 6 days, right? Once we actually like got into a relationship, I knew immediately this is somebody who I didn't want to play with, right? I wanted to get right to business and stand on business. And so
Okay.
I feel like
what gave you that vibe? This is something I didn't want to play with. Yes.
I want to know why.
Yes.
Like, please educate me.
What was the feeling? When a man knows what he wants, it's easier for him to commit. Dwayne was a guest that I met his man and got married. Met and married inside a week. In 7 days, he went from, hey, how you doing? My name is Dwayne, to, will you marry me? And we at the courthouse. And they are still married to this day and happy. My question to the chat is, do men know what they want? Good morning, teammates. Lots of comments in the chat. Good morning. J926 was first this afternoon. Holla at your boy, says, hey friend. Y'all don't ever be talking. Y'all talk to me like, hey Jay, in the chat, but I love that y'all have like camaraderie among the people. But do men know what they want? Let me know in the chat. Do we generally think that black gay men know what they want? Because I would wager that a lot of us actually want to make our way out of the dating pool. Now, Rolando might be a little different. No shade. But I'm curious, do we know, like, can you explain or put your finger on in concrete terms, this is what I want, and stand on business? I don't think we can. I know I can't. Because sometimes I want a man and I want to be cuddled up. Sometimes I want to be, used like a human dildo. And both of those can be very valid, but I don't know that I can get both of those from the same person. Con Rabbit says, you do, but it takes 2 to tango. That's incredibly fast, though. Wow, blessings, DBGM fam. What's incredibly fast? Oh, Dwayne. Now, Dwayne and his husband, I admire their relationship, But I think they're a testament to seeing what happens when they know exactly what they want. Like it's clear, obviously they got married. I don't think he would be offended if I told people that they've been married more than 3 years. Like they're years into this thing. And they both knew they wanted to be married. They knew they wanted to be each other's person. And it didn't take a whole bunch of convincing. And I think that while I don't know that marriage inside a week is possible for me, I do know that relationship is. The older I get, the more I'm okay committing to somebody in a week. If I know I want them, if I'm certain about it, and if I think that's what they want too. If we're I hate the term, but if we're on the same page, if we're on the same page about it, why not? How let your boy says not in concrete terms. Winter Minute says yes I can, but I don't fluctuate. What were you referencing with that, Winter Minutes? J926 says they know what they want. It's just that men take what they want seriously, and they don't want it. They don't take it. Hold on. Okay, I missed some words. They know what they want, but it's just that men take what they want seriously, and if they don't want it, they don't take it seriously. Got it. Kevy Kev says some men know what they want, some don't. The older people get the more they understand their needs. Men typically longer and later in life than a woman would. I don't really have any interest in anything a woman would do. I can support women. I believe we should protect women, but I do not have any interest in what a woman would do sexually or emotionally. Hey y'all, hey friends, Panther said hey. I Winter Menace said I have a difficult time compromising. Compromising in general or compromising on something that's been important? So I have done a whole bunch of these interviews, a whole bunch of these. I talked to 20 this and 20 that. This one was just 20 men. And interestingly enough, even though I am talking to men that are cis and trans, men that are gay and straight, men that are masculine and feminine, the irony is every single one of them reported some very, very consistent issues in getting another person to commit. Either in the first one was they couldn't say what they wanted. That was a glaring issue. Is sometimes they want a relationship, sometimes they want a sexual situation, sometimes they want to be the big spoon, sometimes they want to be the small spoon. And defining a course of action inside these very ambiguous, these very nebulous desires got difficult for a lot of people. The first problem with getting a man to commit is he doesn't know for himself what he wants in a way that he can move toward. Shaka Walker agreed with Winter Menace. He said, I have a difficult time compromising too, especially if I'm verse and the guy I'm dating is a top. Okay, hold on. You added something to the chat there. So you're saying if you're verse and the guy you're dating is one or the other, you're not willing to compromise sexually, or you're not willing to compromise at all or in general? Help me understand what you mean by that, Shaka. Winter Menace also said compromising on anything on my values, morals, and boundaries. Now, the irony is I would say values, morals, and boundaries are things that you should not compromise on. You can evolve them, but if somebody is directly against your values, morals, or boundaries, or being with them violates your boundaries, then those are things you need to stand 10 toes down on. And I would wager that the more fervently you stand on your boundaries, morals, and values, the more you'll attract men that reflect those. That's what I think. But again, I ain't the dating guru. Maybe I'm the drama. But the question for the chat is, do you think men know what they want? I've heard some people say that the older you get, the more clear you get on it. But the gotcha is a lot of us ain't waiting until we get older to start dating. So how do we define or uncover what we want while we are currently in the dating pool. Shaka Walker added, I have a difficult time speaking up about my feelings and following through with action. Now I'm going to come back to that shortly. That's number 3. You're getting ahead of me. Well, you're not getting ahead of me. You just added that to the chat. But number 3 is going to talk directly to that. I uncovered 3 basic steps. The first one was, the first reason men don't commit is because they don't know what they want for themselves. That third one, though, if you stick around to the end, is going to be the one that hits that nail on the head, Shaka. Rolando added to the chat. He said, I've never quite understood why compromise is supposed to be seen as this virtuous quality we should aspire to engage in. That's a good point. Is it? Is it a virtuous quality that we should aspire to? I don't know that it is. I know that it's critical to compromise about certain things when you're dating, but I don't know that anybody should be aspiring to compromise. If anything, in an ideal situation, I wouldn't have to compromise on anything. But we do not live in ideal situations. Devontae Jones, 21392. 21/31/1995. I'm versing my boyfriend is a top, and it's something difficult to understand what I truly want, but I realize once I step back from myself, he provides what I need. Okay. Devontae Jones is distinguishing between wants and needs in a relationship, and he has uncovered that. Devontae, if I could double tap on that, I hope you're still in the chat. Are you saying that your boyfriend does not meet your wants? Or are you saying that in the grand scheme of things, your wants are not as important as your needs? What are you saying there, if we can double tap? Unlimited added, I don't subscribe to compromising. Collaboration is key. But the funny thing is, granted enough, we are only 13 minutes in, but we have not touched on what is something worth compromising in a relationship. Winter Menace talked about morals, values, and boundaries, but I do not think that any good man is ever going to ask you to compromise about those things. Not intrinsically, not overtly. A good man ain't gonna ask you to undermine or step around your morals, values, and your boundaries. I don't think. But again, I don't have a man, so there's that. Shaka said, I don't think it's wise a verse to be with the top mentally and emotionally if the verse like me is going to suppress his feelings and desires. Okay. Now, the one thing I would add to that, though, is that is a standard for you, though. And I think it's really clear, it's really important that we identify that you as a verse might not be able to get with a total something. In your case, you're saying a top. That's important for you. But there are people, like somebody in the chat, Devontae, I hope I didn't butcher his name, but Devontae said that he is verse, his husband, boyfriend, partner is a top, and they have cracked the code for them. But that's not to say every verse could get with a top, just like every top couldn't get with a verse. And it's important to distinguish what works for us individually versus what works for culture. But I think that to the point of this particular episode, if you know that you want something and you're not willing to pursue it or stand 10 toes down on it, then that, I think, gets into that gray area that keeps a lot of men from committing. A lot of people are unclear. They ain't standing 10 toes down. This is what I want. Either they don't know it, they haven't discovered it, or they're not willing to stick up for it. And I think that is one of the reasons why a lot of us err on the side of, let me just do fuckboy shit, stay in my little single ass lane, and do me. J926 added, morals, values, and boundaries are the bare minimum in a relationship. Those things shouldn't involve compromising. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Morals, values, and boundaries are bare minimum. And I would wager that if we start really unpacking our needs, like things that we need in a relationship versus the things we want, if we start unpacking our needs, we will uncover what our actual morals, values, and boundaries are. I mean, that's just me. But again, podcast. That's the problem right there. General culture. Double tap there, Rashad. Tell me what you mean by that. General culture. Shamar Wells added, just be a side. You'll be okay, child. Just kidding, y'all. Hey, I would be like, hey, girl, hey, but I don't want to offend anybody. My interviews with 20 singles showed me that the clearer a man is with what he wants, the easier it is for him to commit to it and when he's convinced he's found it. So my question for the comments, as always, if you've got an opinion on the topic, join us live here on the show by going to livestream.dearblackgaymen.com. The link is pinned in the description, and we will be right back. Y'all been asking for it. So here you go. Do the thing. Do the thing. What is stigma? I truly believe that it comes up when you think something can't happen to you. Like when we think we could never be femme, so we end up with femphobia laced all up and through our dating profiles. Or when we don't be out there like that, so we slut shame people for doing openly what we try to sneak and do privately. But there aren't too many spaces where stigma rises to a criminal level like it does with HIV.
Knowingly gave her HIV and never told her he was infected.
We're talking to 4 black men from across the country, all living with HIV. I want to see how stigma comes up in their lives and what we can all do to overcome it. Welcome back to Dear Black Gay Men Podcast. I am Jay the J. Companionship is coming up in the chat. Companionship and Rolando DD is keeping it spicy as usual. But it is time for church announcements. Hit it. Every week, I write about the ups and downs of my dating journey on our blog on Substack. It's a deep dive into my emotional and sexual trials while I manifest my man in 2025. You can join for free by clicking the screen now, or the link is in the description. I will say we are going to be off tomorrow, Tuesday, because I got a prior engagement. But Wednesday, we have a show that is called Their Advice Ruined My Life. I applied certain dating advice to my love life, and I followed it for a month. One creator was gay, MJ Harris. One creator was straight, and they fucked it up. Spoiler alert, patriarchal gay men and patriarchal straight men are the same kind of fucked up, even though I think they would probably think that they're totally opposite. And then on Thursday, we have a new show called The Brutally Honest Truth About Dick Size. I have been interviewing people left and right because my goal, my job, my gray space is to talk to us. And not every conversation I have needs to be like a full episode of the podcast. And so I've been on this journey to talk to as many of us as I can. And this particular topic came up. I interviewed 20 men, and part of the interview was talking about dick size to get people's understanding about what it means, why we obsess over it, all the things. And so I'm going to be delivering my findings on Thursday. It's going to be a great one. I'm really excited about it. And then, as y'all saw, the private party is happening on October 9th. Yay! Oh, do I have it? Yay! So for those who don't know, last week I announced that we are having the private party October 9th. Jay the Gentleman presents the private party. Now, the private party is intended to focus on highlighting Black queer talent at Black queer venues for Black queer people. It is for us, by us, unapologetically so. And I am so excited about it. Sometimes it may be a podcast and we're going to chop it up and have a conversation. Sometimes it might just be a kickback to bring a new audience to a venue that is owned by one of the girls or gays or theys or men, right? Sometimes it's a listening party. Sometimes it's going to be a party. It could be a whole bunch of different things, but it is absolutely going to support us, for us, by us. It's just a new way of reminding us of how dope it is to be Black gay men and love Black gay men. This time, I am excited to finally announce that we will be featuring a vocalist that was a finalist on NBC's The Voice. And he'll be here with an exclusive performance from his latest project called My Heart. We will be welcoming Ronnie Wilson to the backroom stage. He'll be right there on the stage. It'll be everything. It's going to be everything. I did not ever dream that I would be able to have live performances in my studio, on my stage, for my people. And finally, it is happening. The studio is under construction. It is going to be everything. Epic. It is going to be epic. One thing I will tell you is we announced this on Tuesday last week. Tuesday, tickets went on sale. I didn't tell anybody. I texted a couple people, said I want you to be there because they have been fervent supporters of the show. Everyone who has been a member that is here in the Atlanta area got a text message from me. But by Thursday morning, I woke up and got that message that said we sold out. It was so great. And so the theme for the party, I got so many questions about, well, what do I do? What is it? Wait, all the things, right? But I was at the Out Film Festival this past week, and I saw the documentary called I Was Born This Way. It's a Carl Bean documentary, because Carl Bean had this song, I Was Born This Way, about his experience as a Black gay man during the disco period in the 70s and 80s, right? It was eye-opening and inspiring. And so the vibes will be full disco. We are bringing in the full light show. We are getting the video wall fired up. Like, it will be lit to the roof. I cannot wait for y'all to experience it. The attire is come as you are, long as it's cute. But, with the girls' gays and days, I am certain that the girls will be cute. The vibes are going to be provided by our house DJ such and such. Amazing. It's going to be an amazing time. We will have an open bar for attendees, and beverages are going to be provided by Virgil's Gullah Kitchen. They are a Black queer-owned eatery with 3 locations across the Atlanta metro area. I launched tickets on Tuesday. We sold out on Thursday. So if you didn't get a ticket, you're going to have to wait for the next one. But I do want to send a very special thank you to our partners at Gilead Sciences, and NASM for helping make this event possible. And then thanks to Virgil's and Xavier Lee Photography for your collaborations. I want to thank you to the DBGN family for your absolute never-ending support. This has been a wild journey coming to this point, but I'm so excited to bring this event to y'all, and I'm so excited to have the family here in the house. Can y'all tell I'm excited? Can y'all tell? Okay. I have never gotten hate mail till now. I interviewed a Black gay conservative who has worked with and supported Charlie Kirk and his ideology. While most of the comments have been overwhelmingly loving and supporting, for me, and pointing out the overuse of terms like the gotcha is and the irony is, because apparently I say that after every sentence, the messages that hit closest to who I am were calling me a sellout, an Uncle Tom, and assuming from a thumbnail that I support anti-Blackness or anti-queer rhetoric. Clearly, they misunderstood the conversation. I truly believe being Black gay men is an amazing experience if we each can sit firmly and honestly in it. I do hope Amir, the creator I interviewed, I hope he broadens his perspective to welcome more of us into his ideology, but that's not my job. I think my job is to make all of us feel a little safer to be ourselves, even though I can deeply disagree with the stances that some of us take. What I appreciate, even more than the discourse that Amir and I had, is a family of viewers and listeners and supporters and members who can form their own opinions about any of the content you see on this channel. Yes, you're the reason why DBGM exists, and I can't thank you enough for rocking with us. Follow for more dope queer stories. The best way to support what we do here on Dear Black Gay Men is to become a YouTube member. Members get access to exclusive conversations, the members only chat, behind the scenes content, and you can join me to chop it up on the show. And a portion of your memberships will be donated to an Atlanta area nonprofit providing HIV prevention and care in Black gay culture. You can hit the join button below this episode or send a super chat of any amount. For all the latest updates, follow me everywhere at JAI, the gentleman, on Instagram and Threads. That concludes our church announcements. Please govern thyself accordingly, and we will be right back. What up, y'all? I need your help. There's this new feature on YouTube that can help us grow as a channel. It's called Hype. It's free. I've seen it work on small channels just like ours, but it only works if we all do it. Antonio Speaks is a channel that I follow. He started at 20K subscribers when I hit the subscribe button, and I've seen him get 1,000 new subs in a day, hundreds of thousands of new viewers. In YouTube, right next to the like and share, there's this new button called Hype. The more a video gets hyped, the higher it will rank on YouTube. The higher we rank, the more people get to see our content, the faster Dear Black Gay Men continues to grow. Like this video right now. When you see Dear Black Gay Men content on YouTube, even if you've watched it already or attended the live, like the video, drop a comment, and click the hype button. I appreciate y'all more than I can express. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Dear Black Gay Men Podcast. I am Jay the Gentleman. The second reason men don't commit is because they are unclear as to what you want. That is, they don't see what's right in front of them. Check this out. The example that kept coming up was an ex. All of them, every single person who responded in this way said they had an ex, they wanted one thing, but acted like they wanted another. And in the face of ambiguity, most men just opt to go back to single life. Since men are communicating every day in every way, you can ask yourself two basic questions to figure out what the other person wants. Number one is, how is he showing you he wants to feel? And then number two is, what is he showing you makes him feel that way? 15 of the 20 men I talked to agree that if we can draw a straight line from where we are to where he wants to go, they fall back until the path gets clear. The bigger question is, how do we communicate our wants and desires? When you are dating somebody, how are you letting them know what you want? Is this a conversation? Like, is this hey, I'm trying to date you. Hey, I want companionship. Hey, I just want you to fuck me and blow my brains out. Are you saying these things, or is part of it left up to chance? Oh. I've been following my script and I haven't tapped into the comments, and I'm just looking now, and the people are like, the show was kind of crazy when Amir was on. I assumed it would be. Rolando said they didn't watch clearly. Thank you for that, Rolando. Carlos said we watched. Least they could do is the same. I do think that a lot of people who had such strong opinions about that. Now, full disclosure, we are building an audience. I think every YouTuber is constantly building an audience, but I know, generally speaking, how many comments, how many views things get on a normal basis, and that number is steadily increasing for our content, which is a good thing. But we normally get 30, 40 comments on a replay in the first week. There are 300 comments on that particular episode. It's gotten double the normal views that we get. People are really tapped into it, trying to figure out what was being said and whatnot, which is also why, now granted enough, the person that made the comment about how I say the gotcha and the irony is I say it that many times, he was being shady. He, she, or they were being shady, but I do say it a lot when I'm disagreeing with someone. The gotcha about that is it just comes out all the time. But the question for everybody is, how are we communicating our desires? When you are dating somebody new, are you expecting this to be a conversation? Are you expecting to sit down face to face, eye to eye with somebody and be like, this is what I want? And more importantly, are you expecting them to say that to you? Richard Durham said, at some point it has to come out verbally. We all aren't mind readers. But what happens, Richard, if it double tap here, what happens when they're saying they want one thing, they're acting like they want another, but both of those are fulfilling to you? Like, I dated somebody, tell you a story. I dated somebody who said he was submissive. He said that. Out of his mouth, he said, I'm submissive. He acted very, very dominant. And I do think he had some issues because he was a bottom. He is still a bottom, but I do think he had some issues with being the dominant one in a relationship, even because he's the receptive partner. But he acted very, very dominant. And when I fell back and let him run the show, he sat in that firmly. But if I were to verbalize and be like, oh, you want to take the lead on this? No, hell no, absolutely not. I want to be a dainty little princess. Me, because I'm switched, like I can be either dom or sub. It's just, if you gonna act dom, then man the fuck up, take the lead. And what I learned in that instance was he didn't want the responsibility of being told he's dominant, but he did definitely want to be in the leadership role in our relationship. And I was cool with either of them. I think I saw Rolando said clear and honest communication is key. I do agree. But my question becomes, what do we do? What do we do? Or rather, how are you expecting this clear, honest communication to happen? Like, you finally decide, oh, I want us to be a thing. I want to move in the right, move, intentionally in a direction with you. Are you sitting them down and asking questions? Or are you expecting them to just volunteer this information? How are you uncovering what they desire? Holla at your boy said, in my years, I've become honest, upfront. Yes, if you are telling them, but that is great for them to figure out what you want. How are you uncovering what they want? That's the question. How are you uncovering what the other person is trying to manifest, is trying to attract, is trying to gather? For everybody who doesn't know, I'm drinking soda today. This is not alcohol. It's just in a red Solo cup because I didn't want to get the brand a shout out. Jay Rivera says, I communicate what I generally like, desire, and expect. Great. That is great for you to communicate your desires. How are you uncovering their desires? Rashad Terry said, I believe all interest should begin with, this is what I am looking for. Great. That is great for your desires, Rashad. But how are you uncovering the others? I think it's great that we all exist in a space where we can say very candidly, this is what I want. Sure. That if that works for you, I believe it. But what I learned from all these conversations I had is anytime your desires, you, the other person, not mine, but your desires are unclear. If I can't draw a straight line from what you say you want to what I have to offer, then generally speaking, that's when men throw up their hands and be like, I'll either stand still or fall back. And so that tells me that the problem is we are not either digging for the other person's desires. We're not getting clear on what they want. And I'm curious, how are we having that conversation? What I'm hearing the chat say is it has to be a conversation at some point, and I'd imagine so. But how are you prompting that? How are you opening the door for that? And I don't think this is an I statement moment. Because because I could, Rashad, for instance, excuse me, just because that's where we started. If you sat me down and be like, this is what I'm looking for, I could just easily walk away from that and be like, okay. You are looking for a relationship, and you can outline a relationship in as much detail as possible. And I can walk away from that conversation and be like, okay, but at what point are you turning that back around and saying, now what do you want? Help me help me understand what you are looking for. At what point are you flipping the script on them? Winter Minute says, we was tearing Amir up in the comments. I'm happy you wasn't reading them. I read a lot of them afterwards. Admittedly, so this is Dear Black Gay Men, so his audience did not tune in live, but I got a whole bunch of the Charlie Kirk gang in the chat after. And the irony is there's so much dissension in the rank. We don't have to talk about Charlie Kirk because we're talking about dating and men who don't commit. But there was a whole lot of dissension in the ranks now that Charlie Kirk's widow is co-hosting the Charlie Kirk show. They are just very, very, not aligned in the turning point is at a turning point. But that's a totally different topic. Unlimited always be dropping nuggets. I'm gonna just assume it's a he. And on a first date, I communicate my desires without it sounding like an interview by being clear without being heavy, light without being vague. This balance shows confidence and intentionality. Yes, I agree it does. And I am certain that all of these comments are helping the other person get clear on what we, the DBGN family, are looking for. I get that. My question is, when do you elicit the same conversation from them? Because what I'm hearing, because so many of us are dwelling on this is when I communicate about me, what I'm hearing is we don't put as much intentionality as to probing about the other person. And because I'm an interviewer by trade, I am constantly fishing for, what does that mean? Help me understand your perspective here. But if we're not applying the same intentionality to understanding as we are to being understood, perhaps that might be the breakdown in a lot of our dating situations. At least 5 times somebody has said in the comments, this is how I communicate my own desires. Great. Are you putting the same effort, even more effort, into figuring out the other person's? Because the gotcha is, because what happens, I know for sure. What I know for sure is that I have taken 40 years to get to become the person I am today. It has taken me, every lap around the sun has informed my journey here now, right? And so it's easy for me to regurgitate, this is what I want, because it's either informed by, what I did today, the last person I dated, the last something, and I've had time to think about and develop these concepts. But when I'm sitting on a first date, a third date, a fifth date, a couple months across from the table from a person, I don't have nearly as much context about who they are and how they're expressing themselves. So if they say, I want a relationship is going to mean something different to them. If they say, I want companionship, the word companionship is going to mean something different to them than it does to me. If they say, I want a fuck buddy, or I want a top or a verse top, or I want, whatever they say they want, I have a different level of context. And so if I don't doubly invest myself in understanding these terms from their perspective, then I'm creating a scenario where I'm going to be unclear as to what they want. And so I'm hearing a lot of us say, this is how I communicate what I want. But at what point or how do you take the leap to figure out what they want? Let me know in the comments, because, I got a whole script in front of me. Okay. The third requirement, the third reason men don't commit is all about requirements. Men only move when they are required to do so. I've learned this one time and time again, and personal anecdote that came with this one. No, You cannot tell him what you want him to do. It never works. No, you cannot show him what you want him to do in a relationship. You must require it. Give you a story. I dated this guy, right? He didn't have a car. So I was constantly either having to pick him up if we were to see each other or stay at his house. Luckily enough, he had somewhere to live that I could visit him at. I kept telling him he needs to figure out his transportation situation. We live in this big ass city. You can get an Uber, a Lyft, you can take the MARTA, you can do a whole bunch of things, but you got to figure this shit out. And I'd be sitting at his house frustrated. Every single time at his house, frustrated. I wasn't requiring him to do anything but listen to me being frustrated. And he never really had to fix the actual problem because I was sitting there at his house, frustrated. There was no consequence for him not having a car or means of transportation because as a man, he was still getting single one of his needs at that point in our dating situation met. He needed to see me and he got to do so. And it didn't take him getting a car to get it. The only changed his behavior when 3 aspects of my requirements were met. Number 1 is I had to have something that he wanted, meaning he actually enjoyed spending time with me. He wanted to see me. He wanted to be in my space or he wanted me to be in his space. When I have something of value that the other person wants beyond sex, when I meet a emotional desire or I create a space that he wants to be in, then that's the first step of requiring somebody. Then number 2, there was a need or requirement that he could see himself meeting. I got to stand on business about my requirements, but they've got to be attainable. If I was requiring him to have a Bentley and he had no car, he would never going to overcome that. I had a requirement that he could see himself meeting. And then number 3, I gave him encouragement to meet it. My job is not to spoon feed him the solutions to our problems. My job, whether we're top or bottom, dom or sub, mask or femme, is to encourage our significant other, our partner, the person we're dating, to fix their problems on their own. But my question for the chat is, at what point in the dating stage do you even start thinking about requirements? Oh, that ain't what the question says. At what point? I guess I could just change it. I'm sitting here. Okay. Uh-oh. Wrong punctuation. Get it together, Jay. Somebody being called daddy in the chat. Somebody being called daddy. Aaron said, just getting here, boy. Yes, what I found is some guys are uncomfortable talking about what they want and desire, what their wants and desires are. Okay. Jay Rivera said, Jay Rivera, that's such a good profile picture. Shout out to you. Asking those types of quality questions with the absolute genuine interest to understand them more, how they know their space. Benjamin Johnson says, yes, Jay, I agree. Which part you would agreeing to, Benjamin? Carlos said, I usually try talking less like Panthro. People love to talk about themselves. I learn a lot. Now, here's what I learned about letting people talk about themselves. Go with me here, because again, I talk to people for a living. But what I've learned is when people talk about themselves and they are unchecked in the conversation, they are usually going to tell on themselves. And because my stance in dating is, and I think Unlimited or Carlos or somebody put this in the chat a couple episodes ago, but because my stance in dating is I need to see how you love. I need to see how you live. I need to see how you operate. And then I'm asking myself, do I want to participate in that? Because, everything ain't for everybody. And I acknowledge that fully. And so when I'm figuring out whether or not I want to participate in the kind of love that you are showing me, that is when I find that letting people just talk and talk and talk and talk gets people caught up. They end up telling me something they don't want to tell. And that's why I tend to attract people who just talk a lot. Because you're going to tell me your business at some point. And the way my listening skills are set up, the way this podcast has shaped me, I know you're going to tell me every little piece of information that I need to know if I just let you keep going. Jay Rivera said, perfect. Of course. Rolando DD said, your problems are not my problems. I do agree. My problem, if for instance we were dating, Rolando, my problems are not your problems, right? But if they impact how we develop our relationship, then I do need to encourage you to fix them. And what I've learned is a lot of people just get so dug into you need to get your shit together, then that kind of ideology, that kind of talking creates this emotional distance between us. If the best I got is you need to get your shit together, then it feels like you're saying you're broken and you need to fix it. And that might be what you are saying, but the gotcha. Every time I say that, I chuckle now. But that might be your MO. But if you like me, then the least that you can do is give me the encouragement to fix said problem. Like in the example I gave, I know he needed a car. He knew he needed a car. Now, that wasn't part of the story, but he did absolutely know he needed a car in order for this to be a successful dating situation with me. I don't get cool points by reminding him of his deficit. He didn't change. He didn't evolve. He didn't grow. He didn't fix the problem until I encouraged him in the solution. And I think unfortunately in a lot of our dating situations, we lean on double tap in the things that separate us as instead of trying to bridge the small divides that can bring us together. We'll turn a molehill into a mountain instead of turning mountains into molehills. And in my experience, in all these conversations I had with these 20 men, every single one of them, at least once in the conversation, said, yeah, I could have worked on that. Somebody had some uncommunicated need or desire, something that they wanted somebody to figure out, but they didn't require it first. And in most cases, they didn't even communicate it. And they just kind of fell back because I would much rather be single than put in the work of doing something with somebody that I don't know the outcome of. And I think that is also a norm in our culture, is that we will do everything we can when we have a title. Like, when you are mine, I will give you the whole world. I will let you fuck me. I will fuck you. I will give you money. I will let you stay in my house. We will figure out how we gonna pay these bills. All of these things, second we get a title. But the interesting component about that I've discovered is we don't give any effort to the dating situation. Dating situation, you need to be over there all by yourself. And you need to have all your shit together, and you need to bring me a perfect package. Even though you're deeply flawed when we get in this relationship, you need to be perfect when we're dating. And I think that's unfortunate. And as much as I truly believe that I could not marry somebody inside a week like Dwayne did at the top of the show, I get it. Because he lives in the same black gay culture I do, where we have all these hyper perfect expectations in dating. And then when you put a title on it, and you can be as fucked up as you want to be, and I will rock with you. And I just think the middle ground of that is where is the sweet spot. A, don't be so fucked up. Fix as many of your problems as you can, but give a whole lot more grace and commitment in the dating process. Because in truth, if you game this out to the logical end, if we game any of these commitment issues, if we game any of these dating situations out to the logical end, then in a perfect situation, if I work my ass off and you do too, then I got the rest of my life to figure out your bullshit. There is no component of a dating situation that needs to be figured out while we're dating. Because if we date right, I got the rest of my life to put this shit together. I got the rest of my life to understand you. If we do it right, I don't have to understand anything about you in the dating process. I just got to make sure you're not batshit crazy and gonna smother me in my sleep or steal my social security number. Like, I just think we fumble so many good dating situations because we got these ungodly high requirements and expectations, and then what happens is somebody doesn't meet one of the most obscure needs or wants you got, and then next thing you know, you back in the dating pool when this perfectly good man who probably really loved you but wasn't courageous enough to say so, you fumbled. And the hard part for me in the position in our culture in which I sit is I sit on this sofa, I sit in these chairs, I sit on this chat, and I hear sometimes some of the most beautiful stories, relationship stories. I think Unlimited was one of the ones who talked about his relationship and how he is able to collaborate with his partner and they overcome all the obstacles. It makes me feel like it's them two against the world, them two or more, because he could be in a throuple. I don't know. And then I hear about people who like they got to have a big dick and they got to be they got to be this and they got to be that and they got to be all the things. And while I want to give space for everyone to desire what they want, what they say they want, what I know is most of us really just want somebody who's going to be in our circle, in our corner when shit gets hard. That is all most of us want, is somebody to remind us that it will be okay and we will get through this. In all these conversations that I had with all these men about commitment issues, the one through line is every single one of them just said, I just want somebody to be in my corner when shit gets hard and remind me that everything will be okay. And that is one thing that Black men do not have enough of in our culture, in American society. Everything is doom and gloom. Everything is the breaking point. Everything is hard as fuck. And I just hate the fact that so many of us are aging and becoming curmudgeons who value penis size and mannerism over solidarity and loyalty. We value height and eye color over integrity and character. So as much as now, I'll tell y'all this, and I only use Dwayne as an example because he's been on the show and he talked very candidly about his relationship. I was not the biggest fan of him getting married in 6 days. I thought something was wrong in the sauce. Shotgun wedding, and I shaded it. And then I ate my humble pie, ate some crow. I apologized to them. They didn't even know I had these sentiments because I didn't tell nobody. I apologized to them because what I know for sure, because they have been to this show, because I have seen them, is that at the end of the day, all any of us want is somebody to tell us, somebody to be in our corner, somebody to remind us that it'll be okay when life starts life, and somebody to just rock with us. And he found that. And I can't take that away from him. He found it. And that has to matter. Totally got off topic with that one. But remember, if you've got an opinion on the topic, join us live on the show by going to livestream.dearblackgaymen.com. The link is pinned in the comments, and we will be right back. I've been in the gym so I could do two things. It's one, thirst trap on the internet, and look good for my man when I find one. And that's why I'm excited that support for Dear Black Gay Men comes from Twillery. Black men, whether you're in the gym, like me, or blessed with good genetics, like me, carry our weight in a couple key spots that can make suits and slacks hard to fit and uncomfortable to wear without either having to size up or break the bank in tailoring. But Twillery answers the fit problem with their performance fabrics. It's the right fit for the tailored look and just enough stretch for comfort and breathability. I'm wearing right now the solid performance polo that hugs my chest and arms while tapering just enough at the waist to show off the good parts. Twillery carries suiting, polos, button-ups, and everything to impress at the job or knock someone's socks off on a date. And you can shop for the perfect fit right now at Twillery.com, and we've got a special offer for the DBGM family. Take $18 off your first order by using code M300J. That's Twillery.com, and we thank them for supporting our channel. Before we head out, let's comment on comments. Hit it. The comments keep the vibes going through the roof right here on Dear Black Gay Men Podcast. If you want to add your piece to the conversation, just go to livestream.dearblackgaymen.com to join us live on the show. Now, I will say there are a couple comments that I want to just touch on. Panthro said, reason I want companionship instead of relationship. What is companionship, Panthro? How are you defining companionship in that sentence? Let me know in the top in the chat box. Also, this one and just love me, sir. I don't know, official E. I don't know if you've been here for the episodes that I talk, but calling me sir is one of my triggers. It'll make me do ungodly things. But but Panthro, since you added that to the chat, since you added this to the conversation, you like companionship instead of relationship. How are you distinguishing between those two things? Let me know in the chat. I had a vision of love. I don't know why it took me a minute to remember that was Mariah Carey. I don't know why I was hearing a men's voice singing that. Maybe I heard a cover. But yes. Are you a lamb, official E? Aaron just said, but how you know they aren't doing their best? They may not have the management skills currently, but some of them have had to learn through making mistakes, and it's going to take time, you know. Help me double tap there, Aaron. What are you responding to? Panthro added, companionship is when you come and visit for a week, then go home. That sounds like a relationship to me. Long distance, but relationship nonetheless. What is the difference? What aren't you expecting in your definition of companionship versus relationship? Benjamin Johnson's added, companionship is relationship but playing house, in my opinion, a relationship with less commitment. Okay, that might be the case. Maybe that's what Panther was saying. Another comment I wanted to double tap on was when Winter Menace said, I think standing 10 toes down is often the challenge because black gay men's dating standards, as we have discussed, are very unrealistic. I think I kind of went deep down on that rabbit hole at the end there, Winter Menace. Wouldn't you agree? I think that black gay men do have some very, very high dating standards. I just downed the last piece of this Coke. I said I wasn't going to say the brand name, but this last piece of this cola, this soda, and it's got me belching. But I do think that black gay men have some very, very high dating standards. However, what I would also offer is Black gay men have these high dating standards because underneath that, I truly believe that if we were courageous enough to say it out loud, we all just want to be loved. And a lot of us have deluded ourselves into thinking that high dating standards equals depth of love. Like you can, if for instance, I expect you to be a top and emotionally aware and have a big dick and a nice car and a big house and a lot of money and all these other things, then that means that you have a bigger capacity to love me. And I truly believe that a lot of us just want to be loved hard and strong. And we believe that our dating standards are trying to find somebody who can do that. The unfortunate part about it is, though, a lot of the people that love hard and strong went through some shit together. Like, I truly believe Dwayne and his husband are as strong and as solid as they are now because they had to deal with all the animosity that came with being public about getting married inside a week. I can think of several people that I've interviewed on this podcast. Bishop O.C. Allen and his husband Rashad Burgess. They talk about the struggles of, growing a career on one hand and growing a church on another and all of the bullshit that comes with that. And they are as strong a unit now because they went through some shit. Not because one of them had a lot of money and one of them didn't. Not because they just because they had it together. Both of them talk very candidly about how they did not know how to do this thing until they just did it. And because they had to figure it out together in real time, and in their case, in a very public platform, they just had to cleave to each other. And so to that end, I do think a lot of our commitment issues stem from the fact that a lot of us don't allow ourselves to go through shit with the person that we're dating. I was watching on TikTok one time, and it was this I don't know what kind of expert. I guess he's just like a people expert, and he was talking about how you gauge the depth of your friendships. He was telling this story about how he and his best friend, they are so close. Best friend was going through something, going through a tough time, and best friend told himself that I don't want to bother you because I love you. I don't want to bother you, burden you with what I'm going through because I love you so much as my friend. And then the person that I'm watching is like, he was in tears because he felt really bad that his friend, someone he cares so deeply for, didn't want to bother him, especially since he is probably one of the closest people that absolutely should have bothered him because he would have moved heaven and earth to figure it out. And so I would wager that a lot of our issue in finding relationships that work is A, yes, we do have some very high dating standards that are unrealistic. B, we got all the commitment issues that we talked about. Number one is people don't know what they want. Number two is people don't know what the other person want. Number three is people are not clear on how to require someone to do something. But also, we're not vulnerable enough to go through shit with our person. And the gotcha is, I'll say it very firmly there, the gotcha is if he really likes you, whether you are in a relationship or not, if he really likes you, he wants to go through things with you. He wants to help you through it. He wants to stand by you while you figure it out. He wants to be on your team. He wants to be the cheerleader for you. He wants that. I want that. I want my person to be vulnerable enough to suffer with me. Not because of me, not for me, but I want to be able to see my person. I want my person to be vulnerable enough to not have to have it all together with me. Because I know you got to have it all together in every other instance. And I don't want to be a every other nigga ass nigga. I want you to peel back the veil a little bit so I can see who's back there and what he is going through. So I can be of service to you and where you're actually going in life. That's where I'm at. But so often we want to put this manicured, make-upped, perfect patty version of ourselves front and center, and that's just boring as fuck. That is boring as fuck, and I want no parts of it. But that's just me. Okay, y'all. Whew. Y'all don't know. Y'all really don't know. But Dear Black Gay Men is therapy for me. I genuinely get everything out on the show. And I appreciate y'all for sitting here and listening and engaging with me. That was our show. I am Jay the Gentleman. We'll be right back here with another episode of Dear Black Gay Men on Wednesday. We're taking tomorrow off. We'll be back on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. For more exclusive content, join me on Substack at dearblackgaymen.substack.com. I appreciate you all more than I can ever express. The private party is a week from Thursday, October 9th. And I will see y'all next time. Bye.